The following is a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department. This is the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a weekly presentation exploring community health and sustainability with guests representing a broad spectrum of community partners working to make Ulster County the healthiest in New York State. This program is sponsored by the Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network.
Good morning. You are listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. I am your host, Dr. Carol Smith, Commissioner of Health and Mental Health for Ulster County. Joining me today is my co-host, Vin Martello, our Director of Community Health Relations. Good morning, Vin.
Good morning, Dr. Smith, and Happy New Year on this frigid January day. And apropos of the cold, we have an interesting topic today, and it is, it addresses those of us who are less fortunate, may not have a home to go to or a warm place to go to when it's freezing out, or may not have the resources to fully be able to afford to heat our homes and living spaces. And the topics are the Ulster County Warming Center Program and the Home Energy Assistance Program, also known as HEAP. So can you please
sure.
Introduce our guest?
I'm really very pleased to have with us today. Again, he was very kind to join us again, is Mike Iapoce, our Ulster County Commissioner of Social Services. And with him is Mary Jane Knutson. And Mary Jane is the Director of Temporary Assistance for our Department of Social Services. And the Temporary Assistance Program includes the HEAP program, as well as SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, daycare, housing, employment, and the drug and alcohol screening. Welcome, Commissioner and Mary Jane. It's very nice to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith. I'm happy to be here again and appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the programs that we administer, particularly this time of year, to try to make sure that the needs of everyone in our community are being met.
Thank you for inviting me. This is my first time on the station, and I look forward to sharing the knowledge of HEAP and hope that everyone who's eligible is able to get the program.
So, Commissioner and or Mary Jane, let's start with the Warming Center program. Can you give us a little overview of what that's about?
Sure. Our Warming Center program was arrived at 3 years ago when we began to become concerned about a need in the community to service individuals who might not otherwise have been able to make arrangements during the winter months to ensure that they had warm places to be residing. Given the rural nature of our community and the fact that we have a lot of individuals who may not necessarily have planned for extreme winter conditions, we wanted to make sure that there was going to be a location available in the county that could meet those individuals' needs. So it basically operates to be available in extreme cold weather conditions to individuals to basically come in from the cold. And we arranged for the Clinton Avenue Methodist Church, which is run by Reverend Darlene Kelly, who has experience in terms of being able to respond to situations of this nature based on a relationship with the Red Cross, to be available to open up the church in periods of extreme weather to individuals who present needing a place to stay.
And who makes that call? Is it you or the county executive or a combination of folks?
What we have in place in order to activate the warming center is either the county executive can make that call based on weather conditions, or Steve Peterson at the Emergency Operations Center. And during the first year of operation, it was basically arrived at by monitoring weather conditions. And obviously, if we had extremely cold temperatures or there were stormy periods, either the county executive or Steve Peterson would make the decision to activate the center, and a notice would go out throughout the entire community. And law enforcement, town officials, medical personnel, fire officials would be notified that the warming center was activated and opened. And then at the beginning of last year, Governor Cuomo issued an executive order. It was known as Executive Order 151. And that basically decreed that if the temperature fell below 32 degrees, county departments of social services were responsible for making arrangements to have facilities available for individuals to be able to come out of the cold. And that remained in place. So we were fortunate that we had already made arrangements to be able to accommodate and comply with Executive Order 151 when it was issued last January. We had already had our warming center in place, and we were already activating it on a regular basis. Just recently, in December of 2016, although the executive order had expired, the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistant issued a proposed rule which incorporated the terms of Executive Order 151. So right now, that's what we're operating under. Basically, if the temperature dips below 32 degrees, the warming center gets activated and notices go out throughout the community. And obviously, the county executive or Steve Peterson can make a decision to activate it even if temperatures are above 32 degrees, because we may have conditions in our county that require that.
And so you have the one center. So if someone is located in a little bit further from Kingston, do you arrange some kind of transportation or work with town officials or nonprofit groups or other organizations?
Absolutely. We arrange for transportation. If it's brought to our attention that there's an individual anywhere in the county, we'll enlist the assistance of law enforcement. We can also make transportation arrangements through the Department of Social Services to arrive at wherever that person might be located and transport them to the warming center.
Mm-hmm. And aside from a warm bed or space, what else does the center provide? Do you have food and beverage, services of any other kind? Or
the warming center serves a hot meal on the evening that the individual is there and has arrived. Then they also receive a breakfast. There's also snacks. Information is also provided to anybody who comes into the warming center about additional services that they may benefit from if they're interested in engaging those services, so that we do get referrals from the warming center about individuals who have arrived there and then might end up subsequently being eligible for additional benefits.
That's great, really great. And what is the capacity? Have you ever reached capacity?
Right now, the capacity there are 72 beds, mm-hmm. and we have not exceeded capacity on any given period of time that the warming center was activated. We did keep statistics during the 2015-2016 winter, and over the course of that winter, our statistics that we arrived at were that 46 different individuals did receive services at the warming center for a total of 279 days. And that really just basically plays out that someone could arrive at the warming center and stay for 2 or 3 days and then leave and then end up returning at another point in time. So it really does demonstrate that it met a need in our county. And a lot of the individuals arrive there, have circumstances where they haven't engaged the system for other services or benefits. And for whatever those reasons may be, we don't want anybody who's arrived at that type of a situation not to have a warm place to stay. Right. So it's open, you arrive, and you have a warm place to stay.
And do you then assign, say, if they don't voluntarily access the services, do you assign caseworkers to check up on them, like a follow-up call or anything, or try to contact them to see where they're at subsequent to their visit?
I know that Reverend Kelly engages all of the individuals, and they try to arrive at an evaluation of what that person's circumstances are and counsel them to the degree that they make available what might be able to be done. Some individuals may not be receptive to having to engage the system. One of the things that we also encounter is frequently we receive telephone calls about individuals in the community that may need assistance because of cold weather. And under circumstances like that, we enlist law enforcement. The Ulster County Sheriff's Department frequently assists us, as does the Mobile Mental Health Unit, to go out and do well checks on individuals and to assess what their circumstances are to ensure that they're safe. And, that can be something where you have to exercise judgment about whether or not a person, by virtue of decisions they're making, may be putting themselves at risk.
Right.
And law enforcement and mobile mental health do have the authority and jurisdiction to make arrangements for somebody who they assess at possibly being a danger to themselves or others because they don't want to leave where they're residing.
Right.
So that can be something that can be challenging at times, but we're very fortunate to have those types of services available to actually go out into the community. And that's also part of what Executive Order 151 and the proposed regulation that OTDA implemented require, that we engage persons who we become aware of and try to ensure, that they're getting the services that they need.
And I know from my former lifetime as town supervisor, we had a lot of senior citizens who were on fixed incomes, and when the heating bills really got high and it got cold, it was very, very difficult for them to keep up, and maybe even middle class families for that matter. So I'm sure you work with the Office for the Aging and other colleagues in the county to kind of help these individuals and provide a more integrated approach as well.
This is where the HEAP program would come in, correct? I mean, to give them
partially.
that kind of energy assistance, payment assistance. Maybe you could tell us somewhat more about that as well.
What happens with the type of situation that Vin referred to is that sometimes if it's a family or if it's a senior citizen, they may be reluctant to leave their home. They're comfortable there.
Right.
They may have pets. They may have their medications there, and they're reluctant to leave. So under circumstances like that, we're going to do everything we can to accommodate that individual's needs and make sure that they're going to be safe. So we've even arrived at being able to make an arrangements where we can have pets go to the SPCA for boarding. And so if a senior presents where they're reluctant to leave their home, and it's not maybe because of maybe they've had some sort of a heating issue, maybe their furnace isn't working or something of that nature, and we're not able to really do anything immediately, and they have a pet, we'll do everything we can creatively to make sure their needs are met. Families who present in this type of circumstance, we would actually make arrangements for them to go into one of our shelters or to a hotel placement. The warming center is essentially for individuals. Mm-hmm. So if a family arrives at the warming center, the Clinton Avenue Methodist Church will contact the Department of Social Services or Family of Woodstock, and a different shelter arrangement will be arrived at, because we don't want to be commingling children with adults in a shelter environment.
Right.
And then, Dr. Smith, your observation about other services like the HEAP program being available will definitely be explored. And I know that Mary Jane's going to talk a little bit more about the details of that.
And Mike, how is the warming center funded? Is it through your department, a combination of sources? How does that work?
It's funded primarily by county dollars.
Mm-hmm.
When we first arrived at getting this in place, there weren't, at that particular point, any kind of state programs that required counties to make arrangements of this nature. But subsequently, after Executive Order 151 and the new regulation, there is funding available through the state where we can get reimbursement for some of the expenses that we incur. So we track our expenses very closely, and then we submit that information to the state at the end of the winter for partial reimbursement.
This sounds terrific. And we'll learn more about the HEAP program with Mary Jane right after this short break. You're listening to Healthy Ulster Radio.
The excitement continues to build. The mission of Health Alliance is now made even stronger by our new partnership with the Westchester Medical Center Health Network. By combining a legacy of community-based care with WMC Health, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant community. We'll be collaborating to provide preventive, primary, specialty, and advanced care right here where you live, where we all live. Health Alliance and WMC Health, advancing care here. Visit HAHV.org to learn more.
Welcome back. You are listening to Healthy Ulster Radio. With us today are our special guests, Mike Iapoce, Ulster County Commissioner of Social Services, and Mary Jane Knutson, who is the Director of the Temporary Assistance Programs that DSS sponsors, which includes the HEAP program, or the Home Energy Assistance Program. And Commissioner Iapoce explained to us how the county works with respect to offering its warming center program. And Mary Jane, we would like to hear a little bit more about the HEAP program.
Well, I'll start with a basic definition. The Home Energy Assistance Program is a federally funded energy program which provides assistance to low-income households in meeting their home energy needs. It's a yearly program. The year for this year started in November, and it will end in March.
Does the individual who is seeking this kind of assistance then apply every year? How does the application process work for this?
There are many ways to apply for assistance. Individuals, seniors who have been on assistance in the past for HEAP, in August of each year, there's a program called the Early Outreach where the state sends applications to senior citizens or individuals who were on the system in the past who have vulnerable individuals in the household. That process starts in August. And then anyone who's in receipt of temporary assistance or the SNAP program are automatically eligible for HEAP benefits. So their benefit is automatically placed into the system through the state. Anyone else who's never been on assistance or wants to apply would apply in person through the Department of Social Services or online or at one of our Ulster County Community Action offices, which are located throughout the county.
And do you reach out, Mary Jane, to the towns, say town clerks or town supervisors, for referrals or organizations within the local communities to refer folks to your program?
We do outreach. The state also does outreach. We work very closely with the Office of the Aging. We have a special interview section within social services so that the senior can come right in and be seen without having to wait. The wait is much shorter. Through Ulster County Community Action, which has satellites located in Kingston, Highland, and Ellenville, people from that part of the districts can go right to that office and apply for assistance. They're also able to apply electronically through My Benefits. The website is www.mybenefits.ny.gov. They can apply for HEAP using that link. At the same time, they can also on that website see what other benefits they may be available to them that they may be eligible for. They can also apply for SNAP through that venue.
And what are the general financial guidelines for an individual or a family?
Maximum income guidelines have been set at 60% of the state median, which is kind of easily explained by a family of one. For example, if their monthly income was $2,300, they would be eligible. A family of two, $3,007 a month. A family of three, $3,715 a month. And a family of four, $4,423 a month. The income goes up depending upon the number in the household.
And that's gross income?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so what does that get you? And so you sign up, and then what happens next? Do people get different amounts of fuel assistance based on what their usage is, what their income is? How's that ratio?
Well, over the years, HEAP has evolved. In the beginning, in 1981, when it first started, it was just one benefit. And through the years, HEAP has changed. There are now 4 components to New York State HEAP. The first component is called regular HEAP, and that's just a basic benefit designed to decrease a household's energy cost. It's a regular benefit, and that's the first benefit that opens usually in November and closes in March. That benefit can range from $350 to $575. It depends upon what they're heating with, what the commodity is, and what their household situation is. And the second component to HEAP is called emergency HEAP. That's a benefit that's designed to meet the household's immediate emergency need. Emergency HEAP opens after regular HEAP. Regular HEAP opened November 14th. Emergency HEAP this year opened January 3rd. And that's also scheduled to close March 15th. Individuals are eligible. They can be eligible for both the regular benefit and the emergency benefit. In addition to those are two for fuel, there's the home energy repair and replacement, or it's called HUR, HERR. That's a benefit available to assist homeowners in repair or replacing their primary heating equipment when the equipment is either inoperable or it's unsafe. And the last component of HEAP is the cooling assistance, which we shouldn't be talking about today because it's a little chilly, but there is a benefit in the summer usually to provide cooling assistance to eligible HEAP households that include an individual with a documented medical condition exacerbated by extreme heat. And that's the maximum benefit for that is $800.
Now, do you work with a select group of fuel providers or equipment providers to do those kinds of maintenance, repair?
It's up to the vendor. All the vendors go through the State Department of Social Services through the HEAP division, and they apply to become a vendor for the county or counties. And the person who's found eligible is given a list of vendors, and they can choose who they want to contact to help them.
Mm-hmm. And what is, you noted in the notes here, a HEAP crisis. How does that differ, say, from the regular program? Is that just the same, someone who's eligible, or is there a certain situation where someone's suddenly run out of fuel and has no money to pay?
Years ago, when HEAP again first started, since I've been there for a very long time, you used to have to wait until you were out of fuel and everything happened, and then you would come in and ask for a fuel emergency. And now the criteria has changed, and these are considered emergencies, or the loss of heat is imminent. For example, if you have less than a quarter of tank of oil, kerosene, or propane, that's an emergency to us because we want to prevent the emergency. We want to find eligibility and get the fuel into the household so they're not without heat, because no heat, furnace issues, all kinds of issues happen. Pipes freeze.
Right.
We also, a less than 10-day supply of other deliverable fuels, wood, corn, any other thing, if they feel that they're going to run out of fuel within 10 days, that's considered an emergency, and we'll look at it. If your heat or your heat-related utility is scheduled for termination, if you get a notice in the mail, you know, in the old days, they waited till it was off. Now, if you've got a notice from a utility company that there's a termination schedule for 10 days, 20 days, let us know so we can work with you. And also, if there's any kind of disconnect within 72 hours, that's considered an emergency. We want to work with you and prevent the emergency. We don't want to make it so people end up in a warming center or a shelter, because fuel dealers, they work on schedules now. You can't expect a fuel dealer to go from one end of the county to the other if their customers are out of fuel. So most of the fuel vendors have schedules. Monday, Shandaken, Tuesday, Allenville, however they set it up. So we want to make sure that when we authorize that benefit, the vendor is also able to get it timely, and so that the emergency is not happening.
Right. And so can you give us, you've been doing this for a number of years, can you give us an idea of how the program has grown over the years? Do you see the needs at a much higher level than they used to be, or was there a significant spike in need during the financial crisis, or what is your experience?
I think HEAP is the most positive program that social services has at this point. It's a program where we're helping with fuel needs. We're helping the elderly. We're helping the infirmed. We're helping anyone. As long as they file into the eligibility requirements, it's a help to their heating need. And the eligibility requirements, the guidelines are a lot higher than our other programs, which are so rigid. Mm-hmm. So people actually know, they're educated, they're aware of when HEAP happens, they're aware of the different programs that are available, and they're very happy to come in.
Just to piggyback on Mary Jane's remarks, and many of our programs, I think people don't understand completely. This is really an economic support program. When you look at the income levels that Mary Jane talked about before, especially for individuals on a fixed income, $2,300 a month, that can really help that household to be able to get a boost at the beginning of the winter with the initial HEAP benefit. And then depending upon how difficult a winter is, they might be able to get the emergency benefit. And we really saw last year, because it was a relatively mild winter, a lot of people got out in front of the application process. Their applications were processed. They were deemed eligible. They received their benefit, and they were able to have that, aspect of running their household all squared away. And I think it goes a long way for households to know that that part of their budget has been addressed, because it gives them the security and stability to know going forward that they can allocate some of their budget to other expenses. And I really have to, emphasize, as Mary Jane did, it's really a fantastic program, and it's something that does, economically support a lot of households that need a little bit of extra help.
Right. I mean, I haven't run the numbers, but I would suspect that for the average Ulster County family, coming up with multiple thousands of dollars all in one one take is not easy. And I know for myself, I buy my fuel in advance for the discount, but I end up putting it on a credit card and then paying it off over time. But to come up, for a middle class family breaking even, that might be difficult. Mary Jane, can you tell us once again how people go about applying and how they contact your unit?
Mm-hmm. They can apply in person at the Ulster County Department of Social Services, which is located at 1021 Development Court in Kingston, Monday to Friday between 8 and 5 p.m. There's applications available also at all 3 Ulster County Community Action offices. The Kingston office is at 70 Lindsley Avenue. The Ellenville office is at 85 Center Street. And the Highland office is at 15 Church Street. They're also able to apply online, as I had stated, the My Benefits at www.mybenefits.ny.gov.
Terrific. Well, Dr. Smith, we're just about out of time.
That went very quickly, didn't it? That was great information.
Good topic, great information. And we thank you, Commissioner Apochi and Mary Jane, for coming in and sharing this critical information with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciated the opportunity to be here, especially, given the subject matter and the time of the year. And we hope that the listeners will benefit from receiving this information.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.
And please join us next week for Healthy Ulster Radio for more ways that you can use to keep yourself, your family, and your community healthy and strong. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department, sponsored by Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for another edition of the Healthy Ulster Radio Show next week.